Tributes have poured in from across the world following the death of Argentinian football giant Diego Armando Maradona at the age of 60. British Health Minister Matt Hancock outlined Thursday the new tiered system of Covid-19 restrictions that will come into force after the current national lockdown for England ends on December 2nd. World Health Organization warns that Africa is far from ready for that will be the continent's largest ever immunization drive against COVID-19. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. Diego Maradona is resting in honor for public viewing at Argentina's presidential palace, Casa Rosada. On Thursday, hordes of fans congregated at the palace in Buenos Aires after the doors opened for the general public at 6 a.m. time. Some wept, others blew kisses and said prayers as they filed past the coffin. 1 million people are expected to visit his casket. Late into Wednesday night, a sea of people in Argentina shirts crowded the streets across the country to mourn Maradona's death and celebrate his life. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro Moros said he had not felt that sadness in a long time, reacting to the death of football legend Diego Armando Maradona.
Today I felt a great sadness, I tell you. I had not felt this sadness in a long time, a feeling of orphanhood, because I knew that in Argentina I had a real friend, and when I spoke with him and he hugged me, I knew that he was hugging me truly. Diego, 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 you will stay with us forever.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi reacted to Diego Armando Maradona's death and posted on his Twitter account. Diego Maradona was a maestro of football who enjoyed global popularity. Throughout his career, he gave us some of the best sporting moments of the football field. His untimely demise has saddened us all. May his soul rest in peace. Real Madrid coach Zinedine Zidane called the death of Diego Maradona a huge loss for the world of football and the world in general. Atletico Madrid coach Diego Simeone, who played alongside Maradona for both Argentina and Seville, said he had lost a legend.
Yes, it's very sad. It's a huge loss for the world of football and the world in general. He's someone who inspires all. He was one of a kind. I have the 1986 World Cup engraved in my head. I was lucky enough to meet him afterwards and tell him he was an inspiration for millions of young people around the world, especially for me, even though my idol was Enzo Francescoli. It's tragic news. We heard about it just before leaving the hotel. It's a sad day and we are thinking of his family. It's really hard when someone calls you on the phone to tell you that Diego is gone. You say it cannot be. We've lost a legend, an Argentinian who was known for breaking the mold in a good and bad way. He always did his best to instill his fighting spirit in others. I'm 50 and Diego was 60. We loved playing football because we admired him. We were teammates in Sevilla. He and his families welcomed me with open arms. I was just a boy. He made his mark on Argentina's national team. When you hear it, you just don't think it is possible.
And fans chanted, danced and threw fireworks in tribute to Diego Armando Maradona inside the stadiums of Buenos Aires Argentinos Juniors, which now carries his name and where he made his debut as professional footballer in 1976. Thousands of mourners, many in tears and many wearing the World Cup winners' number 10 Argentina jersey, gathered in streets and stadiums around Buenos Aires in spontaneous celebration of the players' and managers' road to his life.
I feel a lot of pain. I love Maradona. He may have had many defects, as you can imagine, outside the pitch, but as a footballer he taught me so much. Maradona taught me so much. Outside the pitch he can be whatever he wants, but inside the pitch he gave me everything. From humble beginnings he achieved a lot of things and he united the Argentine people in every sense. It doesn't matter what jersey your club wears, nothing else matters. What only matters is to stay close to him at this moment. May God keep him in his glory. We will always remember him.
All over the world, there was sadness on Wednesday after the death of Argentinian star Diego Armando Maradona, who fans remember with affection.
Maradona contributed many things, many ideas in sport, in politics and in human relations. Maradona was also helped by the Cubans, in the sense that Maradona was here in Cuba for a long time, receiving medical treatment. He was not only a splendid football player, but he was a man committed to the humble and the oppressed of the world, an extraordinary man and an evident football genius, who also lived his greatest glories right here in Mexico in the World Cup of football. He is a great football player. Chinese people like him very much and a lot of people look up to him. He is a very good athlete. After he retired he was still focused on football, so we all like him very much. I feel his sudden death is very unfortunate. Maradona is a very famous person. He has very good football skills, and he is a decent person, no scandals and all. Chinese people are familiar with him. I think some football fans have deep affection towards him, although I'm not one of them, but I still feel very uncomfortable hearing the news.
And also Neapolitans gathered to pay tribute to football legend Diego Armando Maradona in the front of the San Paolo Stadium. The mayor of Naples has proposed that the stadium will be renamed in honor of the city's beloved Argentine footballer. Maradona was most loved at club level for his spells with Boca Juniors in his homeland and Napoli in Italy, where he won the club's only 2 league titles, becoming a legend in the working-class city, where fans on Wednesday poured into the streets after hearing of his death. The president and owner of Napoli, Aurelio De Laurentiis, said it could be an idea to rename the stadium San Paolo Maradona and announced his intention to broadcast images of Diego feats at the stadium on Thursday. Napoli will play a Europa League match on Thursday that will be preceded by a minute's silence in tribute to Maradona.
I didn't expect it. He has left us as he arrived, by surprise. He has left us. We didn't choose Maradona. Maradona chose Naples. I came last night as well. That was all my teen years. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Beyond what everybody is saying about him, he was the greatest. My only wish now is to know that he is happy among the angels, that maybe they wanted a captain, and he will take them to victory as only he knows how.
And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. British Health Minister Matt Hancock outlined Thursday the new tiered system of COVID-19 restrictions that will come into force after the current national lockdown for England ends on December the 2nd. London will escape the tiered restrictions once England's national coronavirus lockdown ends next week. However, major cities including Manchester and Birmingham face at least 2 more weeks of third rules. Most of the country, including the capital, will enter into Tier 2, under which restaurants and many leisure facilities will be allowed to reopen. Limited public attendance at performances and sporting events will also be allowed. People from different households may not mix indoors in either Tier 2 or 3. The health minister said cases were down 19% and hospital admissions down 70% national over the past week.
I call the Secretary of State. The science. The majority of England will be in Tier 2, but in a significant number of areas, I'm afraid, they need to be in Tier 3 to bring case rates down. I want to thank everybody who's in the Tier 3 areas for the sacrifices that they're making, not just to protect themselves and their families, but their whole community. And regardless of your tier, I ask everyone, we must all think of our own responsibilities to keep the virus under control. We should see these restrictions not as a boundary to push, but as a limit on what the public health advice says we can safely do in any area.
In Spain, the plan of health restrictions for Christmas celebration is being discussed. The debate comes in a context of growing fear in Europe that relaxing measures during the holidays will mean the third wave of COVID-19 in the continent. Our correspondent, Adriana Cardoso, has the story.
As Christmas celebrations loom, experts worry about the elimination of the restrictive measures that are slowing down the second wave of coronavirus. That is why the Spanish government has proposed a 6-people limit in family meetings, a curfew at 1 o'clock at night, and the elimination of mass public events.
We are entering a very critical period for everyone, the Christmas season, and we have to be aware that we have to keep flattening the curve. We have an accumulated rate below 400, but the World Health Organization tells us that we have to keep 25 cases per 100,000 inhabitants for 14 days.
This is the initial proposal that is being discussed with the autonomous communities today with the purpose of building some consensus. But the communities have different demands. For example, Madrid prefers even more relaxed measures if the daily infection rates get lower.
Our position is to have gatherings of at least 10 people in the same house, with a maximum of 3 people living together, and also that the curfew that affect Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve do not start at midnight.
A national vaccination plan has already been approved. It will start with the groups at risk and health personnel, and it will eventually cover the entire population. The vaccine will be free and the vaccination will be done through the public health system.
Our government will buy 140 million doses that would allow to vaccinate 80 million people. Therefore, there will be enough doses to vaccinate 100% of the population, and our country has a strong tradition of vaccination, and we think that with the proper explanation to the citizens and with the health personnel, we are going to reach very high percentages of people protected from the disease.
The government intends to enforce the restrictive measures right until before the Christmas holidays. But according to experts, relaxing the restrictions could result in a steepening of the contagion curve in the first week of January.
Adriana Cardoso, TeleSUR, Madrid.
In India, authorities said Thursday that accurate forecasting and the evacuation of several 100,000 people helped avert any loss of life after Nivar hit southeast India, as rescuers worked to restore power and clear fallen trees. Nivar made landfall at 3 a.m. local time near Puducherry, packing gusts of up to 130 kilometers per hour, uprooting trees and bringing torrential rain up for 30 centimeters in a few hours in some areas. Thousands of emergency personnel were deployed in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Puducherry as authorities began restoring power that had been suspended to prevent damage to the electricity grid. According to India Meteorological Department, Nivar weakened after landfall and is forecasted to move north and further weaken over the next few hours. Indian police fired tear gas and water cannon on Thursday in clashes with several thousand farmers marching to New Delhi to protest against recent agricultural reforms. The confrontation happened when police tried to stop the farmers from the northern state of Punjab crossing a bridge about 200 kilometers from Delhi. Armed with sticks and rocks, some of the farmers threw police barriers into the river below. The police then opened fire with water cannon and tear gas, further enraging the protesters. After a 2-hour standoff, police eventually allowed the marchers to continue towards the capital. China said Thursday U.S. and China should aim for no conflict and no confrontation after Chinese President Xi Jinping on Wednesday congratulated Joe Biden on his U.S. election victory.
Stable development of Chino-U.S. relations conforms to the fundamental interests of the Chinese and U.S. people, and is also the common expectation of people of insight in the United States and the international community. China is willing to uphold the spirit of non-conflict, non-confrontation, mutual respect, and win-win cooperation with the United States, strengthen communication, focus on cooperation, control differences, and promote the healthy and stable development of Chino-U.S. relations.
China and Japan have agreed to establish a fast-track lane for essential personal exchanges by the end of November in order to further promote the resumption of cooperation between the two nations. The decision was made during Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi's official visit to Japan on Tuesday.
Positive step taken by the two countries to promote bilateral personnel exchange and support resumption of work and production in the context of the routinized epidemic prevention and control, as agreed by the two sides after the consultation. The fast track between China and Japan will be officially launched on November 30th.
And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. World Health Organization warns that Africa is far from ready for that will be the continent's largest ever immunization drive against COVID-19.
And experience have shown that when we have an average or weighted score around 80% or above, clearly it shows that the country can safely deploy a vaccine or conduct a vaccination campaign to reach the maximum of the impact. So we are far from getting there. So far the weighted average is around 33% at the beginning, that we need absolutely to work and support country to make sure that the countries can bring up all of their different pillars of vaccine introduction to a level where if a vaccine becomes available soon, a country can safely deploy the vaccine to reach the maximum impact.
Burkina Faso's electoral board announced on Thursday President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore won a second term after gaining an outright majority in the first round of elections.
After this proclamation, Mr. Kabore, Roch-Christian Marc, is declared provisionally elected in the first round as president of Burkina Faso with 57.87% of the votes in the election of November 22nd.
The Commissioner General for UNRWA for Palestinian refugees in the Near East, Philippe Lazzarini, says that for the first time the agency has no cash anymore to cover the spendings until the end of 2020 during a press conference in Gaza City.
Abject poverty is on the rise, and there is absolutely no doubt that the COVID now is spreading and impacting the entire population, in addition of all the challenges people are going through due to the blockade, due to the unemployment, due to the poverty, due to the divisive politics. This situation, more than ever, Palestinian refugees and the population count on UNRWA to deliver its services, to deliver on the basic right of the Palestinian refugees, to ensure day-to-day education, to ensure access to healthcare, but also to ensure a minimum of social protection.
Sudan government transported Ethiopian refugees to a camp in Hamdayet on Wednesday, hours away of a surrender deadline for Tigray forces. Ethiopia's prime minister on Wednesday rejected growing international demands for dialogue and a halt to deadly fighting in the northern Tigray region as interference, saying his country will handle the conflict on its own. The fighting has already driven more than 40,000 people into Sudan and forced many more to flee within Tigray. Hundreds have reportedly been killed, though the true extent of death and displacement is not known. Meanwhile, in the South Africa's city of Pretoria, Ethiopians from Tigray gathered to demand the immediate end of the ongoing conflict, pitting Ethiopia's federal forces against the Tigray People's Liberation Front, while Amnesty International urged Ethiopia against using artillery and aerial bombings in the Tigray city of Mekelle, appealing for both sides to consider the city's 500,000 inhabitants and the many more seeking refuge there from fighting elsewhere. And we have come to the end of this news brief, but to commemorate the life of Diego Armando Maradona, we leave you with this video of him singing the famous tango El Sueño del Pibe by Ricardo Tanduri. This song completely described who he was, and we hope you to enjoy it as much as we did. And also remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website and social media pages. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.
De la humilde casa, la voz del cartero muy clara se oyó, y el pibe corriendo con todas sus ansias, al perrito blanco sin querer pisó. Mamita, mamita, se acercó gritando, la madre extrañada cruzó el piletón, y el pibe le dijo riendo y llorando, el club me ha mandado hoy la citación. Mamita querida, ganaré dinero, seré un Maradona, un Kempes, un Holguín. Dicen los muchachos del norte argentino que tengo más tiro que el gran Bernabé. Vas a ver qué lindo cuando yo en la cancha mis goles aplaudan, seré un triunfador. Jugaré en la quinta y después en primera, yo sé que me espera la consagración.